I've been here for 12 years. After graduate school, I came here because the heritage resources and archaeological sites are so interesting. I haven't wanted to go somewhere else.
Michelle Stevens is the Heritage Manager for the Comanche National Grassland and the Cimarron National Grassland in southwest Kansas. Her passionate research has given her an intimate knowledge of the people who settled this region and the challenges of making a living off the land.
Lord, I give my last gold dollar.
When folks first came into this part of southeastern Colorado, early on it was the trappers and the traders. As far as European settlement, Native American settlement had been here since 12,000 years ago. Then in the early 1800s, partly because of the Santa Fe Trail, that was westward movement to Santa Fe and as a trade route. And so folks would travel along that, going through along the Arkansas and then down to this creek. Then later, after this area became part of the U.S., and that with the Homesteading Act of 1862, a lot more people decided they wanted to homestead in here. There was also a number of Hispanic settlers who came north from what is now northern New Mexico. Approximately 1869, a number of Hispanic settlers came up. One of the prominent members of that group was Damasio Lopez. He and his family moved into this area. They homesteaded in Purgatoire Canyon, very near where we have a cemetery now. That canyon, particularly in the 1880s, probably would have had like 450 people living in there, with a mix of homesteaders from Hispanics coming up from the south, as well as Anglos coming in from other places. So two of the main families that lived down there would be the Damasio Lopez family and also the Eugene Rourke family. Eugene Rourke came into this area in the 1850s, I think, because of the gold boom. He was involved with Black Hawk and some of the mining up there. But he took a wander down to this part of the state and went to the Purgatoire River area, liked it, went back home to his Midwest home and married a sweetheart, and then brought her out here. Her name was Mary Rourke.
I'm gonna leave Milwaukee. I'm going down number 61.
So they homesteaded in Rourke Ranch in 1869 when he made a claim, and then 1871 is when they started their first homestead. What would often happen in this part of the state is you'd have the homesteaders and you'd also have large cattle ranching operations. What they would do is move into the area, have the owners, or more likely their foremen and trusted employees, homestead in an area that had access to water, be it a spring or a river, something like that. And by proving it up and having access to the water, the cattle company now had access to the water. And after they proved it up, they would sell or transfer the ownership over to the cattle company. So in that way, companies like Prairie Star and JJ Ranch could control a large area because they had access to water. As these smaller homesteaders moved into Purgatoire Canyon, the JJ Ranch and other companies like that would sometimes terrorize these other groups. They would let their animals out of their pens, sometimes slaughter them, have fights with them, and pretty much make it difficult for these smaller owners to live at times. And so what that meant is that, a lot of times these smaller landowners couldn't survive, and so they got frustrated with the process. It wasn't worth it. Moved to the city, and then because Eugene Rourke's family lived down there and he had good relations, often would help them out. They would often sell their property to Eugene Rourke, and so through time, the Rourke holdings started to increase, while other homesteaders in the area started to decrease. His family, and particularly his daughter, had control of the ranch in the 1930s. But it was that time that the acreage of Rourke Ranch really expanded from their small holding right in the canyon to include a whole bunch of land up on top, on the plains and down below, into tens of thousands of acres. And other landowners were leaving because of the Dust Bowl and the difficult conditions. But as a ranching operation near permanent water, and with also business operations in town, they could weather those kind of economic hard times and have one resource help feed the other.